The mountain village of Frosthaven was no stranger to harsh winters, but this blizzard was unlike any other. It descended upon the village with an unnatural intensity, the sky turning an ominous shade of gray. Howling winds whipped through the narrow streets, carrying with them swirls of snow that stung the skin like icy needles. The villagers, accustomed to the winter's bite, were caught off guard by the ferocity of the storm. Windows rattled, and doors creaked under the pressure of the relentless gusts. Within minutes, the village was engulfed in a blanket of snow, visibility reduced to mere inches. Frosthaven was cocooned in a frozen hell, each house an isolated island against the tempest. The once bustling village square was now a ghostly expanse, the tavern sign barely readable under layers of frost. Elderly villagers murmured about ancient legends of such storms, tales told by their grandparents. They spoke of a cursed blizzard that would take those who dared to challenge it. As the hours passed, fear began to seep through the community. Families huddled together, fires crackling in the hearth, but no warmth could fend off the creeping dread. Communication with the outside world was cut off. Telephones were dead, and the radio hummed with static. The village was trapped, completely at the mercy of the relentless storm. Whispers of supernatural causes spread like wildfire. Some claimed to see shadowy figures through the snow, while others heard eerie whispers carried by the wind. The blizzard raged on, showing no signs of abating. Frosthaven lay in the grip of an unseen, malevolent force, its villagers shrouded in uncertainty and terror. Whatever the true nature of the storm, one thing was clear: it had trapped them all, and the village would never be the same. The lake was a frozen expanse, stretching out like a pristine white wasteland under the overcast sky. The friends had set up their fishing spots, eager to enjoy their annual ice fishing trip. The ritual was always the same: laughter, stories, and a friendly competition to see who caught the biggest fish. But this year, something felt different. As the day wore on, they began to notice strange occurrences. Tracks appeared in the snow, leading from the shore to the middle of the lake, only to vanish without a trace. At first, they dismissed it as a trick of the light or the work of some playful animal. But as the day grew colder, the tracks became more unsettling. The footprints were neither animal nor human, but something distinctly unnatural. Large, clawed impressions that seemed to sink deeper into the ice than they should. The friends exchanged uneasy glances, their jovial mood dampened by the eerie sight. They followed the tracks, but each time, they ended abruptly, as if the creature had been swallowed by the ice itself. Whispers of old legends surfaced in their minds, stories of a malevolent spirit that haunted the frozen lake, dragging unsuspecting victims beneath the icy surface. The air grew colder, and the once solid ice seemed to creak and groan under their weight. A sense of dread settled over the group, gnawing at their nerves. One friend decided to venture further, trying to dispel the growing fear. As he walked, the tracks seemed to reappear, leading him deeper into the lake. Suddenly, the ice beneath him cracked loudly, and he vanished with a terrified scream. Panic ensued as the remaining friends scrambled to reach solid ground, their minds racing with thoughts of the eerie tracks and the friend who had disappeared. The daylight began to fade, and the friends huddled together, trying to make sense of the strange occurrences. The frozen lake, once a place of joy and camaraderie, had turned into a nightmarish expanse where the line between reality and legend blurred. Their annual ice fishing trip had become a fight for survival against an unseen, malevolent force beneath the ice. As the raging blizzard trapped Frosthaven in a frozen grip, the villagers sought solace and warmth within their homes. The village elders, wise and weathered by many winters, began to recount the old legends that had been passed down through generations, tales of a cursed blizzard that took those who dared to challenge it. Gathered around the crackling hearth, the elders and #039 voices rang out in hushed tones, weaving stories that sent shivers down the spines of the listeners. They spoke of a time long ago when a great storm swept through the land, leaving devastation in its wake. This storm, known as the Blizzard of Souls, was said to be the work of a vengeful spirit seeking retribution for a grave injustice. According to the legend, a powerful sorceress had once lived in the village, using her magic to protect Frosthaven from harsh winters. However, when the villagers turned against her, blaming her for a series of unfortunate events, they cast her out into the blizzard to die. With her dying breath, the sorceress cursed the village, vowing that a storm of unparalleled fury would one day return to claim those who wronged her. The elders described how the cursed blizzard had appeared sporadically over the centuries, each time taking with it the souls of those who dared to venture into its icy maw. The storm was said to be guided by the vengeful spirit of the sorceress, who sought to gather souls for her eternal revenge. As the tales unfolded, fear and dread filled the hearts of the villagers. They began to notice eerie similarities between the current storm and the legends of old. The howling winds seemed to carry whispers of the past, and shadowy figures appeared through the swirling snow, evoking the spirits of those claimed by the blizzard of souls. The village elders' stories served as a stark warning, urging the villagers to stay indoors and avoid challenging the storm and #039's wrath. The cursed blizzard, relentless and unforgiving, held Frosthaven in its icy grip, and the haunting legends only served to deepen the villagers and #039 fear and resolve to survive. With the cursed blizzard seizing Frosthaven in an unrelenting hold, the disappearance of several villagers fueled an urgent need for action. Determined not to let fear dictate their lives, a brave group of villagers banded together, ready to face the perilous storm and search for their missing friends and loved ones. Leading the group was Amelia, a resilient young woman known for her unwavering courage. She had grown up listening to the elders and #039 tales of the blizzard of souls. Despite her fear, she resolved to uncover the truth and bring back those who had vanished. Alongside her were old friends and trusted allies, including Rafik, the village blacksmith, and Zara, a healer with a keen knowledge of the arcane. Equipped with lanterns and warm, fur-lined cloaks, the group ventured out into the blinding snow, their faces set with determination. The howling winds buffeted them, and the cold was bone-chilling, but they pressed on, the thought of their missing neighbors driving them forward. As they navigated the treacherous drifts, the villagers used their collective knowledge to search for clues. They found more of the strange tracks leading to the heart of the storm, disappearing without a trace. The chilling realization that some unseen force was at work deepened their resolve. Along the way, they experienced haunting encounters, ghostly figures seen through the snow and eerie whispers carried by the wind. Despite these supernatural occurrences, the group remained steadfast, each driven by hope and the bond they shared. After what felt like an eternity, they discovered a hidden cave covered by a thick layer of snow. Inside, they found the missing villagers huddled together, weak but alive. Amelia and the villagers worked quickly to rescue them, sharing their warmth and offering words of comfort. The group's successful rescue mission brought a glimmer of hope to Frosthaven. Though the blizzard still raged, the villagers knew they could face whatever challenges lay ahead as long as they stood together, determined to break the curse and survive the storm. As Amelia and the determined villagers ventured deeper into the heart of the blizzard, the eerie legends of the blizzard of souls seemed to come alive around them. The wind howled with a sinister whisper, and the air grew colder with each step they took. Their breath hung in the air like ghostly apparitions, adding to the sinister atmosphere. The group pressed on, lanterns casting feeble glows in the whiteout conditions. Suddenly, Rafik, the village blacksmith, froze in his tracks, pointing ahead with a trembling hand. Through the swirling snow, they saw a spectral figure, a ghostly apparition of a woman in tattered clothing, her eyes filled with sorrow and rage. The figure floated towards them, disappearing and reappearing in the dense snowfall. A chill ran down their spines as they realized the ghost matched the description of the vengeful sorceress from the legends. Her presence was both haunting and foreboding, her mournful wails carried by the wind. Despite their fear, the search party knew they had to continue, driven by the hope of finding their missing friends alive. As they moved closer to the forest's edge, more ghostly apparitions appeared, flickering images of long-lost villagers taken by the cursed blizzard. The spirits reached out with translucent hands, their expressions twisted in agony. The sight of these tormented souls hardened Amina and #039's resolve, as she vowed to free the village from the grip of the vengeful storm. But the supernatural encounters grew more intense. The ground beneath them felt unstable, as if the ice itself was alive. Phantom footsteps echoed around them, and the shadows seemed to take on a life of their own, moving with a malevolent purpose. Despite the mounting terror, Amina and her companions pressed on. They chanted prayers and words of encouragement, using their unwavering bond and shared determination to push back against the spectral forces. The village's survival depended on their courage and resilience in the face of the unknown. The search party's haunting encounter served as a stark reminder of the blizzard's unnatural power. Yet, through their bravery, they brought hope back to Frosthaven, proving that even the most chilling legends could be confronted by those who stood together against the darkness. The swirling snow seemed to guide Amina and the search party to the heart of the forest, where they stumbled upon an ancient, hidden clearing. In the center stood the decaying remnants of an old stone altar, covered in snow and ice. Intrigued and driven by a sense of destiny, the group gathered around the altar, brushing off the frost to reveal intricate carvings etched into the stone. As they examined the carvings, Rafik discovered old, weathered scrolls hidden beneath the altar. Zara, the healer, deciphered the ancient text with her knowledge of arcane symbols. The scrolls told a harrowing tale that sent shivers down their spines. Centuries ago, a powerful sorceress named Alara had lived in Frosthaven. She had used her magic to protect the village from harsh winters, earning the villagers' respect and gratitude. However, Alara's power also attracted fear and jealousy. A rival sorcerer, consumed by envy, spread lies and rumors about Alara, convincing the villagers that she was responsible for the misfortunes befalling them. Blinded by rage and fear, the villagers turned against Alara, dragging her to the forest and tying her to the stone altar. Despite her pleas of innocence, they condemned her, casting her out into the blizzard to die. With her last breath, Alara cursed the village, vowing that a storm of unparalleled fury would one day return to claim the souls of those who wronged her. The group realized that the current blizzard was the embodiment of Alara and #039's curse, a manifestation of her vengeful spirit seeking retribution. The cursed storm was bound to the villagers, driven by Alara's desire for justice. Understanding the origin of the curse gave Amina and her companions the resolve to find a way to break it and bring peace to their village. As the search party absorbed the chilling revelation, they knew that the path ahead would be fraught with danger and sacrifice. But armed with the knowledge of Alara's tragic fate, they were determined to confront the blizzard and lift the curse that had haunted Frosthaven for centuries. With the revelation of Alara and #039's tragic past and the origin of the cursed blizzard, Amina and her determined companions knew they had to act fast. Armed with ancient scrolls that revealed the steps to an ancient ritual, the group prepared to confront the storm and lift the curse that had haunted Frosthaven for centuries. The night of the ritual was as dark as the blizzard. The search party gathered in the hidden clearing where the ancient stone altar stood, their breath visible in the frigid air. The storm raged around them, with the cold biting deeper than ever. Zara read aloud from the scrolls, her voice steady despite the howling wind. The ritual required the blood of a descendant of the villagers who had wronged Alara, a symbolic act of reconciliation. Amina, revealed to be a direct descendant, stepped forward without hesitation, offering her hand to Zara. A ceremonial dagger, laid upon the altar centuries ago, glinted in the moonlight. Zara made a small cut on Amina's palm, letting a few drops of blood fall onto the stone altar. The ground trembled, as if awakening from a deep sleep. Next, they needed to light the sacred flames at each corner of the altar using a special blend of herbs and oils found in Alara's writings. The villagers worked quickly, igniting the corners and creating a ring of fire that roared against the storm and #039's fury. As the final step, Zara and Rafik led a chant of reconciliation and forgiveness, asking Alara's spirit to absolve the village of its past sins. The wind howled even louder, and ghostly apparitions of the villagers' ancestors appeared, witnessing the ritual. The air grew thick with a palpable energy, a battle between the storm and the ancient magic. Just as it seemed the blizzard's wrath would swallow them whole, the snow began to lessen, the howling winds turned into a gentle breeze, and the oppressive cold lifted. The blizzard's fury subsided, and a serene calm enveloped Frosthaven. Ilara's spirit appeared briefly before the search party, her face no longer twisted with rage but filled with a sense of peace. She nodded in gratitude before fading into the night, her curse finally broken. The village, now free from the blizzard's curse, rejoiced. Amina and her companions returned as heroes, forever remembered for their bravery and determination. Frosthaven was no longer haunted by its past, but united by the bonds forged through the storm's trial. The cozy cabin nestled in the heart of the forest seemed like the perfect winter getaway for Emily and Adam. Surrounded by a blanket of snow, the cabin promised a peaceful retreat from their hectic lives. Little did they know, a sudden and ferocious snowstorm was brewing just beyond the tree line. It began with an eerie stillness. The air grew cold, and the sky turned an ominous shade of gray. Within moments, the first flakes started to fall, gradually intensifying into a blinding wall of snow. The winds howled like wailing spirits, and the once picturesque scene turned into a nightmare of swirling snow and ice. As the storm reached its full fury, the cabin was quickly engulfed by the relentless blizzard. Snow piled up against the windows and doors, sealing the couple inside. The temperature plummeted, and the howling wind became a constant companion. The cabin creaked and groaned under the weight of the tempest, and the sense of isolation grew palpable. Adam reached for his phone, but there was no signal. The storm had cut off all communication with the outside world. Their warm, cozy retreat had transformed into a prison of ice and snow. Emily and Adam huddled close to the fireplace, the only source of warmth in the growing cold. Each passing hour brought mounting tension, as their hope of rescue diminished. The storm showed no signs of abating, and the couple knew they had to rely on their wits to survive the ordeal. Shadows danced on the cabin walls, and the once comforting crackle of the fire now seemed ominous. The howling wind carried faint, ghostly whispers, as if the storm itself harbored secrets of the past. Trapped and cut off from the world, Emily and Adam faced the terrifying reality of their situation. The snowstorm raged on, merciless and unyielding, as the couple struggled to hold on to the hope of seeing the light of day once more. As the snowstorm raged outside, Emily and Adam settled into the cabin, trying to ignore the eerie revelations from Eliza and #039's journal. However, the strange occurrences soon became impossible to ignore. It started with faint noises, soft whispers that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. The couple dismissed them as the wind howling through the trees. But the noises grew louder and more distinct, sounding like muffled conversations just beyond their hearing. Then came the cold drafts. Even with the fire blazing, icy chills would sweep across the room. The couple checked the windows and doors, ensuring they were sealed tight, but the freezing gusts persisted. The cold seemed to have a life of its own, creeping through the cabin like an invisible presence. The final straw was when objects began moving on their own. One evening, as Emily reached for her cup of tea, she watched in horror as it slid across the table, untouched. Books toppled off shelves, and chairs shifted positions overnight. The air grew thick with an unsettling energy, making every creak and groan of the cabin seem ominous. One night, Adam heard a strange noise from the kitchen. Investigating with a flashlight, he found the pots and pans swaying gently, as if an unseen hand had disturbed them. Emily, in the living room, watched in terror as the shadows on the walls seemed to dance and flicker unnaturally. The couple's sense of isolation deepened, each new occurrence chipping away at their nerves. Every sound, draft, and inexplicable movement heightened their fear, making it clear they were not alone in the cabin. Emily and Adam knew the spirits were growing restless, and the paranormal occurrences were only intensifying. Trapped by the blizzard and haunted by the cabin's tragic past, they braced themselves for the escalating terror they knew was bound to come. Their once idyllic winter getaway had turned into a nightmarish ordeal, and the true extent of the haunting was yet to be revealed. Trapped inside the cabin by the ferocious snowstorm, Emily and Adam huddled close to the fireplace, the flickering flames providing their only comfort. In their search for extra firewood, Adam stumbled upon a loose floorboard. Curious, he pried it open, revealing a dusty, old leather-bound journal hidden beneath. The journal and #039's pages were yellowed with age, filled with elegant handwriting that spoke of a time long past. Emily and Adam exchanged a glance, their curiosity piqued, and began to read the entries aloud. The journal belonged to a woman named Eliza, who had lived in the cabin over a century ago. Eliza and #039's entries painted a haunting picture of a life filled with sorrow and injustice. She had moved to the cabin with her husband, Michael, to escape the prying eyes and harsh judgments of their village. Michael had been falsely accused of a crime he didn't commit and was executed. Heartbroken, Eliza had sought solace in the isolated cabin, where she lived out her days in grief and loneliness. As the snowstorm raged on outside, Emily and Adam delved deeper into Eliza's tragic story. The journal detailed strange occurrences she had experienced, objects moving on their own, cold spots in the cabin, and ghostly whispers in the night. Eliza believed the cabin was haunted by her husband and #039's restless spirit, seeking justice for the wrongs done to him. The final entries revealed Eliza's growing despair as the haunting intensified. She wrote of a terrifying night when she felt an overwhelming presence, as if Michael's spirit was trying to communicate with her. The last entry was barely legible, smeared with ink and tears, describing a vision of Michael standing at the foot of her bed, his eyes filled with sorrow and rage. Understanding the history of the cabin filled them with a renewed sense of empathy and determination. They knew they had to find a way to bring peace to Eliza and Michael's spirits, hoping to end the haunting that had persisted for generations. As the blizzard continued to rage outside, the temperature inside the cabin dropped even lower. Emily and Adam, still reeling from the revelations in Eliza and #039's journal, felt a growing sense of unease. The once cozy and inviting cabin now felt like a prison, haunted by restless spirits and paranormal forces. As night fell, the paranormal activity intensified. The ghostly apparitions became more frequent and terrifying. Emily spotted a shadowy figure in the hallway, its translucent form flickering in and out of view. She could feel the cold, palpable presence of the spirit, sending shivers down her spine. Suddenly, the furniture began to move on its own. Chairs toppled over, and the tablecloth was yanked violently from the dining table, sending dishes crashing to the floor. Adam tried to remain calm, but the atmosphere grew increasingly menacing. The walls echoed with ghostly whispers and moans, filling the air with a sense of dread. In the kitchen, pots and pans clanged against each other, propelled by an unseen force. The cabinet swung open and shut, as if possessed by a malevolent entity. Emily and Adam knew they had to confront the spirits, but the terror was overwhelming. The ghostly apparitions grew more aggressive, their forms menacing and grotesque. One night, as they huddled by the fireplace, the room suddenly went cold. A violent gust of wind swept through the cabin, extinguishing the flames. A terrifying chill settled over them as the spirits made their presence known. Books flew off the shelves, and heavy furniture slid across the floor with a deafening roar. Emily and Adam could no longer stay inside the cabin. The poltergeist activity reached a fever pitch, and it felt as though the very walls were closing in on them. They ran outside, braving the relentless storm, seeking refuge from the terrifying hauntings within. As they looked back at the cabin, its silhouette loomed dark and foreboding against the howling blizzard. The spirits of Eliza and Michael, tormented and vengeful, would not rest until justice was served. Emily and Adam vowed to find a way to bring peace to the restless souls, but the increasing terror they faced left them questioning whether they could survive the ordeal. The relentless haunting inside the cabin had pushed Emily and Adam to their breaking point. The increasing terror from ghostly apparitions and violent poltergeist actions left them with no choice but to attempt an escape. The blizzard raged fiercely outside, but the chilling presence inside was far more menacing. Determined to survive, Emily and Adam bundled up in their warmest clothes, grabbed a flashlight, and made a desperate dash for the door. As they flung it open, a powerful gust of wind nearly knocked them off their feet, the snowstorm threatening to engulf them. They were met with an eerie silence, as if the storm was watching and waiting. They trudged through the deep snow, fighting against the biting cold and howling wind. But as they neared the edge of the forest, the air grew heavier, and a palpable sense of dread surrounded them. Suddenly, the path ahead was blocked by a translucent, ghostly figure, Eliza, her sorrowful eyes fixed upon them. Emily and Adam tried to move around the apparition, but each step they took was met with unseen resistance. The spirits of the cabin were not ready to let them go. Shadows seemed to come alive, wrapping around their legs like tendrils of darkness, pulling them back towards the cabin. The couple's desperation grew as they struggled against the supernatural forces holding them captive. With each attempt to escape, the spirits became more aggressive. The wind howled with voices that echoed their darkest fears, and the snow beneath their feet turned icy, making every step treacherous. The ghostly figure of Michael appeared alongside Eliza, his form flickering in and out, eyes filled with a mix of rage and sorrow. Realizing they couldn't and #039 fight the paranormal forces, Emily and Adam retreated back to the cabin, their hope of escape dwindling. The atmosphere inside was charged with an oppressive energy, the spirit's presence stronger than ever. The couple knew they had to find another way to end the haunting. Desperate and exhausted, they turned their focus to Eliza's journal, searching for a clue to appease the restless spirits. The dread and fear were palpable, but their determination to survive and put an end to the supernatural torment kept them going. As Emily and Adam delved deeper into Eliza's journal, they uncovered a chilling truth that shook them to their cores. The cabin they had thought to be a cozy winter retreat was, in fact, the site of a gruesome murder, a dark secret buried by time, now seeking vengeance. Eliza's journal entries spoke of a horrific night over a century ago when a wealthy landowner named Gregory Harrington had taken refuge in the cabin. Desperate and fleeing from justice, Harrington had brought with him his ill-gotten fortunes and a trail of blood. He had brutally murdered the cabin's original owners, a kind-hearted couple named Lydia and Thomas, leaving their spirits trapped in the place they once called home. In graphic detail, Eliza recounted how Harrington, consumed by greed and paranoia, had silenced Lydia and Thomas to keep his location hidden. Their spirits, bound by the violent end they met, began haunting the cabin, seeking justice for their untimely demise. Eliza, living in the cabin years later, had become a witness to the restless souls and had tried in vain to appease them. Emily and Adam pieced together the harrowing story. The spectral figures they had seen were the tormented spirits of Lydia and Thomas, crying out for retribution. The poltergeist activity was fueled by their anger and sorrow, manifesting in violent outbursts and terrifying hauntings. The restless nature of their spirits had only intensified over the years, reaching a breaking point with Emily and Adam's arrival. The couple realized that the only way to end the haunting was to bring justice to Lydia and Thomas and #039 spirits. They resolved to perform a ritual of atonement, hoping to lift the curse that bound the ghostly couple to the cabin. Armed with the knowledge from Eliza's journal, they prepared for a final, daring attempt to free the spirits and end the cycle of vengeance. As the blizzard outside raged on, Emily and Adam gathered the necessary items for the ritual. They knew the path ahead was fraught with danger, but their determination to unveil the truth and set the spirits free gave them the strength to face the supernatural forces head-on. Determined to bring peace to the restless spirits haunting the cabin, Emily and Adam prepared themselves for a confrontation with the ghosts of Lydia and Thomas. Armed with the knowledge from Eliza and #039's journal, they set up a makeshift altar in the center of the cabin, hoping to create a bridge between the living and the dead. They lit candles and incense, filling the cabin with a warm, calming glow that contrasted sharply with the turmoil outside. Emily held Eliza's journal in her hands, her voice steady as she began reciting the ancient incantations written within. Adam stood beside her, holding a small bell they found in the cabin, its tinkling sound adding to the eerie ambience. As Emily chanted, the temperature in the cabin dropped even further, and the air grew thick with an otherworldly presence. Suddenly, the ghostly apparitions of Lydia and Thomas appeared, their forms flickering in the candlelight. Their faces were etched with sorrow and anger, but there was a hint of curiosity, as if they sensed Emily and Adam's intentions. Tentatively, Emily spoke to the spirits, her voice filled with empathy. She explained that they had uncovered the truth about the gruesome murders and understood their pain and desire for justice. She asked the spirits to reveal their demands, hoping to find a way to lift the curse that had bound them to the cabin for so long. The apparitions grew more defined, and Lydia's voice echoed softly through the room. She recounted the night of their tragic demise, her eyes filled with tears. Thomas's spirit, standing protectively beside her, spoke of the injustice they had faced and the torment they had endured. The spirits revealed that they sought recognition for their suffering and a final resting place where they could be at peace. They asked Emily and Adam to perform a ritual of atonement, one that would honor their memory and lay their souls to rest. The couple listened intently, their hearts heavy with the weight of the spirit's sorrow. Emily and Adam promised to fulfill their wishes, vowing to uncover and expose the true history of the cabin to the world. As they made their vow, the spirits' forms began to fade, their expressions softening with a newfound sense of hope and relief. Understanding the spirits and #039 demands, Emily and Adam prepared for the final ritual, knowing that their efforts would bring an end to the haunting and grant Lydia and Thomas the peace they had long sought. Emily and Adam, driven by the desire to bring peace to Lydia and Thomas's restless souls, knew their final ritual of atonement was their only hope. They meticulously prepared the altar, placing personal mementos they had discovered in the cabin, an old locket, a journal, and a small bell. The blizzard outside continued its ferocious assault, but inside the cabin, the couple's focus never wavered. With hearts pounding, they lit the sacred candles and began reciting the incantations from Eliza's journal. The air grew thick with energy, and the temperature plummeted further as the spirits of Lydia and Thomas appeared once more. Their ghostly forms hovered near the altar, eyes filled with anticipation. Emily and Adam, their voices steady, performed the ritual with precision and empathy. They offered the mementos as symbols of reconciliation and spoke words of apology and respect. As the final incantation echoed through the cabin, the spirits began to glow with an ethereal light. For a moment, it seemed as though the ritual had succeeded. The cabin's oppressive atmosphere lifted, and the spirits' expressions softened with peace. But suddenly, the room was filled with a chilling presence. They had overlooked the vengeful spirit of Gregory Harrington. Harrington's ghost appeared, twisted with rage and jealousy, determined to thwart the ritual. The poltergeist activity surged, with furniture crashing and windows shattering. Emily and Adam stood their ground, their resolve unbroken. They continued the incantation, directing the ritual's energy towards dispelling Harrington's malevolent force. The cabin was engulfed in chaos, and the couple's struggle against Harrington reached a fever pitch. Just as it seemed the dark spirit would overpower them, a brilliant light enveloped the room. Lydia and Thomas, glowing with newfound strength, confronted Harrington's spirit, their faces resolute. In a final, heart-pounding moment, the combined energy of the ritual and the spirit's determination banished Harrington's ghost. The cabin fell into a profound silence as the oppressive energy dissipated. Lydia and Thomas's spirits, finally at peace, gave a grateful, ethereal nod to Emily and Adam before fading into the light. Emily and Adam, exhausted but triumphant, knew they had succeeded. The curse was lifted, and the cabin's dark forces were dispelled. They stepped out into the now calm snowfall, the blizzard having finally subsided. As they walked away, the cabin no longer felt like a place of terror but a resting place for two souls who had found peace at last. Emily and Adam, having escaped the cabin's dark forces, found themselves standing outside in the quiet aftermath of the now subsided blizzard. The storm, once a ferocious prison of ice and snow, had finally released its grip on the land. The couple looked back at the cabin that had brought them so much fear and discovered a new sense of calm. The air was crisp and clear, the snow reflecting the soft glow of the moonlight. Emily and Adam walked through the forest, guided by the path they had cleared in their desperate escape. Despite the terror they had faced, they held on to each other, grateful to be alive. Back in their village, the pair shared their harrowing experience with the villagers, recounting the tragic tale of Lydia, Thomas, and Gregory Harrington. The village, once skeptical, listened with rapt attention, the haunting legacy of the cabin becoming woven into the community's fabric.